have watched all 31 of the anime this winter 2024 season that are not a second season or a spin-off or anything like that. Rank all of these based on my personal enjoyment, so grab your hot chocolate, get cozy, and let's get into it, starting with number 31, Gushing Over Magical Girl. Okay, it's too early to drink the hard stuff, but this series is about a middle schooler who loves magical girls, okay? And she gets her own magical abilities, becomes a villain, and she's a sadistic dominatrix. You know, I still wouldn't recommend this show if the characters were older, just not my personal taste, but uh, why are the characters middle schoolers? Um, Yikes. Number 30, my instant death ability is Overpowered. Main character is a high schooler. He wakes up to see his class got transported to another world during a field trip, and he missed out on everyone getting a gift by a mysterious sage. But turns out he had an overpowered ability all along. You know, everyone, I'm getting older, okay? It's been a while since I've been in high school, but I'm just gonna take a guess that I don't think we would leave each other to die or kill each other or do more things I'm really not comfortable saying, to be honest. On the first day that it's revealed we're stuck, they even say in the title he's overpowered. He has this ability where if he thinks of a person to die, they'll just die. He doesn't need a death note. He could just tell them to die. You know, he can also sense if you want to kill him. So there's just no stakes in the show, so why would I watch anymore? 29, Snack Bob's. This is a young woman and an old woman work together in a bar in Sapporo, where customers come in and they just have conversations with them. I'm down to just watch a show of just conversations. I think that sounds interesting, but this show is not that. 20 minutes of my life. It is so badly paced. The humor was so cringe. Um, and like the animation's not lovely to look at. I just wanted it to end. I just felt like I was in an endless void of like, when is this fucking show gonna end? For 28, Delusional Monthly Magazine. This science magazine featuring articles about bizarre events happening that scientists discover. A scientist visits them for constellation, and therein lies the beginning of this outlandish story where this one guy turns into a were tiger. Yeah, you know, I like the idea of having like an old action cartoon feel. Very Secret Saturdays Eve can feels like. That show's probably so old now, isn't it? But I'd rather watch like any of those old action cartoons instead of this, because the volume range of this show, all the way up here, every character is so loud. I would not recommend watching this with headphones on. The pacing was pretty rough, very all over the place, so I'm going to be dropping that. 27, Demon Prince of Momochi House. On her 16th birthday, Himari inherited a whole estate from her parents' recent passing, which turns out to be the border between the real and spirit worlds, and a shape-shifting man and his two companions guard it. Over time, sure, these characters will grow to care for each other, but I feel like we need some type of connection to have me want to continue, at least in this first episode. And I just thought all the characters were really cold to each other. Not really any chemistry I was feeling, so I'm gonna drop this. Number 26, Meiji Gekin, 1874. 7 years have passed since the end of the samurai era. A former samurai is looking for his fiancée who went missing. While looking for her, he thwarts an assassination attempt and joins the newly established police department. I wanted to like this one because I don't know too much about this time in history, but the first episode just was so predictable if you've seen like any crime thriller. And I forgot like the main character was, because we just bounced through so many other characters. And it there's definitely like an unrealistic element to it, but it feels like they want to go for a more realistic tone. So I don't know. Tonally, I'm just not feeling it. So I'm gonna be dropping. Number 25, Chain Sold demon cities that appear in various parts of Japan. One day, a high school boy suddenly gets lost at the entrance and meets this magical defense force of females who each have their own like unique abilities, and the leader orders him to become her slave. Yeah, the jokes really didn't land for me, and I thought for an action show, the animation was pretty poor. No, I mean, I'm not gonna judge you if you want to watch something for 20 minutes that's just dumb with some corny action, then I mean, go for it. But for me, I don't like harem shows. For me, that it's just like, why would I want to watch this when I could just watch porn? Number 24, the foolish angel dances with the devil. Demon heads to Earth for search for a charismatic human to rally his kin in the war with angels. Masquerading as a high schooler, he's captivated by a girl who turns out to be an angel, who's set on reforming his demon ways. Well, for starters, the title's inaccurate, should be reversed. But it was a solid premise, but the jokes just, they didn't really land. If you're a comedy series, yeah, they're gonna make me laugh a good bit, or at least have a character to be connected to, and I didn't enjoy either. It's really weird that this also has a similar premise with the male slave and chain soldier. Weird we had two of those this season, but I don't know. I guess winter's a horny season. Number 23, Hokkaido Girls are super adorable. High school boy moves from Tokyo to Hokkaido, where he meets a girl at the bus stop. The sight of her standing there, bare-legged in the freezing cold, captured his heart. Pretty cliche rom-com storyline, which I would be fine with if the characters were at least likable, and I liked the setting. Being in Hokkaido in winter, perfect for this season. Male character, he freaked out over everything the girl did, and it was really annoying. And also, just want people to not think anime is just weird, horny stuff, but this goes there. It does. There's so many camera angles on this girl's butt or something, and I'm just like, again, I'd just rather watch porn. Number 22, Buchigiri. Character moves to a town of delinquents. He meets his old friend who has mixed feelings about, and the new love of his life is introduced, and a genie that will help him with the wish of losing his virginity. The character's motivations, if you've watched any anime now, like that is very much the comedic writing of anime for the past couple of years. So even though I personally didn't like this, I'll say, for one, action's pretty dope because it's, directed by Studio Mappa, and it definitely gives off some Tokyo Revengers vibes with some different gangs. So you might like it. I just didn't personally, so I'll be dropping. 21, the Unwanted Undead Adventurer. 25-year-old adventurer has been working for a long time and has a lack of strength. He's killed by a dragon one day and is reborn as an undead skeleton. He's on a quest now to have flesh again. Example of show don't tell. This episode I just thought was so unbelievably boring. It was very much only like dialogue about he's a skeleton. It was very repetitive in that way. I'll say the main character's motivation is a lot more endearing than most fantasy protagonists of, like still wanting to be human. So it could be good after the 3-episode rule, but there just wasn't really enough for me to want to continue. Number 20, solo leveling. Portals that connect to different dimensions of monsters. Certain humans have awakened abilities to combat these monsters when they appear. That it becomes a job now. And the weakest ranked hunter is in a near-death experience in a dungeon and gets a notification allowing him to level up his ability. The reason this is higher than a lot of series is because at first I thought the character not being strong but having a great perception skill was pretty unique. Then the video game title screen pops up. I'm thinking, no, this series was hyped up so much. There's no way it could be a power fantasy series, right? So I gave it 2 more episodes. And, him leveling up his abilities, he does become overpowered then, and all the girls find him hot. I'm really sorry for everyone. Like, this was hyped up so much, and I really wanted to be with everyone, but I just hate power fantasies with everything I have. Like they're number two next to harems of shows I just don't like. Number 19, Mr. Villain's Day Off. Our main character is the leader of a villain organization bent on the destruction of the world. But even villains need days off too. And as we see him enjoy these days, just eating ice cream, geeking out over pandas and such, you'd see in a slice of life series. I really wanted to like this one because, I liked Power Rangers and I I liked the idea of the villain in the slice of life premise. It was just so up my alley, right? But the pacing was just so slow. It really felt like this series would have been better as short. And the jokes, they were just so repetitive. It's either the villain, he likes cute things, or the hero, he's just dumb. Sadly, I'll be dropping this. Number 18, the strongest tank's magical raid is said to have the highest defense in history. He's been in the hero's party to find a cure for his sister after the leader of the party kicks him out of the party for, I assume, to be the only guy around a bunch of women. Rude has nowhere to go, so he returns home, meeting some new people along the way. It's a pretty standard isekai video game inspired fantasy like series for the past couple years. Rude has some fine motivation. I hate that his name's Rude. It definitely seems like it's going to be a power fantasy because his skills are revealed at the end of the episode, so it seems like they're going to be probably overpowered in some type of way. And I just get the feeling that the female characters are all going to join his team, and I'm just not really feeling it. I'm going to drop 17, Tales of Wedding Ring. Satoru's best friend tells him she's moving. He decides to follow. After crashing her wedding in a fantasy world, he ends up being the groom when she suddenly kisses him, which gives him the powers of the Ring King to fight against evil. At first I thought this was going to be a sweet, nice romance anime in a fantasy world. And then I see the ending and remember the opening, and there were a lot of girls with rings. The reason this is so high to a lot of the other shows is because I actually did like the two lead characters, but it seems like it's going to be harem territory, so I'm going to be dropping this. 16, Tis Time for Torture Princess. A princess is held captive by her kingdom's enemy. They torture her for information with delicious dishes, which are withheld until she coughs up the info. But the answers are never enough, and the torture continues each day. I'll say I love how expressive the animation is, and I like the lead princess and her talking sword. A problem with the show is the jokes don't become funny after like episode 3. They are that joke just over and over again. So pretty repetitive. This is kind of a pretty empty calories type of show. It's not bad. It's just it doesn't really feel like you're getting a lot out of it. Number 15, Sengoku Yugo. Set in 1564 Japan, Tama is a Katawari who loves humans and vows to protect them from evil. Her stepbrother Jinka hates humans, however, even though he's a half human himself. The two are joined by Shinsuke, a cowardly swordsman who wants to become like them. This series gives me the impression it's going to be one of those like battle shonen that's going to get good like episode 17, and then people are going to start talking about it. But right now, like I said, pretty standard battle shonen. If you started watching battle shonen from the early 2000s, you can handle this. It's going to be 37 episodes, and I'll say the characters are perfectly fine. I don't their chemistry hasn't quite gotten there, which is one of the reasons why I'm not super into this. If you started watching Jujutsu Kaisen as your first shonen, you will not enjoy this show because, like I said, there's probably going to be some filler, and it's going to be slow. So just keep that in mind. I'm pretty good on this show. I just think it's going to probably be mid. Number 14, Fluffy Paradise. A young woman dies from being overworked. She is offered a deal to be reincarnated to see if humans are worth it, with the exchange of a special skill to communicate with all animals. She is reborn as the youngest daughter of a powerful noble family. Episode just to get a feel of where it's heading, if it's heading towards a darker story, or if we're going to stay this like sweet show where she just pets a bunch of animals. And it seems to be leaning towards more of the cute slice of life fantasy series that but it seems like it's going to get darker with some of the politics of the world. It was perfectly fine. I think the story will be predictable, which nothing wrong with that. I think the main character's sweet, but she's just not really enough for me to want to continue the series personally, so I'll be dropping it. Number 13, Dr. Elise, the royal lady with a lamp. Elise was once an evil empress who was executed by her husband. She is reincarnated into the modern world as a surgeon to atone for her mistakes. After she died in a plane crash, she is reincarnated again, but back to her old life, 10 years before her execution. There's nothing particularly wrong about this first episode. I like the main character looking to just be a better person, and the double isekai story on top of a medical drama does sound pretty interesting. Seventh Time Loop and last season's Moon Empire, these villainous redemption stories, I'm getting a little burnout on. But if you don't watch every anime from the season, you should definitely give this a watch. I actually think it's got a lot of potential. Number 12, Metallic Rouge. In a world where humans coexist with androids, a group of them known as the Immortal Nine rise up against society itself, tasked with disposing of them. An android and her investigator head to Mars to track them down. The story itself, I'm not too sure of right now where it's going to go. But this show just looks gorgeous. I really love the lighting. The world feels so like inhabited, and I think production wise, it's like really solid. Not even just the action. So if nothing else, it's just a pretty show to look at. Number 11, Brave Bang Brave It. It was pretty wild. There's two enemy mech pilots, one from the Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force and one from the U.S. Armed Forces. So it seems like it's going to be pretty Top Gun for a minute. Then it gets Independence Day with just random alien attacks. And then it gets to Magical Mech series when there's this talking mech that appears for one of the pilots. And now they are fighting the alien. I'm having fun with this show so far. If you like blockbuster movies in the late 90s, like the ones I mentioned before, I think you'll like this with added mechs. And if you don't like any of those, I don't think you're gonna like. Number 10, The Witch and the Beast. A magic beast fighting duo, Ashraf and Godot, take different jobs in this steampunk-like world while on the hunt for the witch that cursed Godot. This show isn't great, but I'm having a fun time with it. It gives me the vibe of like a lot of those like really goth like shows back in the when I was watching anime, like Black Butler and kind of Death Note-y, like those type of shows. I don't think it's gonna be as good as those shows. Like the other shows I mentioned before, this is a pretty solid season for action shows if you like those. I think the dynamic between the two lead characters is pretty fun, and they're pretty hot too. But yeah, I think this is gonna be a fun watch just to relax, not really think too much else about it. I don't think it's going to get much deeper than that. Number 9, Ishura. Demon King has died, eager to claim the title of the true hero. Various champions each pursue their own challenges and conflicts amongst themselves for this very title. I like that each episode has been developing one of the characters rather than just doing it during the big tournament itself. My concern is the tournament going to be rushed because we haven't even gotten to it yet? But at most, I actually think out of all the action shows this season, this one is probably the dopest. And there's political intrigue that could be interesting. So I'm going to continue watching this for now, but I'm a little scared of like how the pacing is going to be once we establish all the characters. Number 8, Seventh Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life. Her broken engagement with her fiance, Rishi fled her home country to make a new life for herself. She restarts her life from the moment 6 times because she keeps getting killed in a war. To try and stop the war before it even starts, it just so happens the man who starts the war every time proposes to her in her 7th life. Both the lead characters I do like. I think they're well written, and I like that we're pretty unclear about what their intentions are. Really builds up the tension that the show's given. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm gonna keep watching. Number 7, the wrong way to use healing magic. A high school nobody and the two most popular kids in school all get transported to another world. The two popular kids are the chosen heroes, while the main character just got transported by mistake. Until it's revealed he has healing magic. We got actually pretty good isekai this time. I like that all three of the protagonists are likable. That's pretty crazy, right? Protagonists also have each their own motivation on wanting to either stay in the world, one character wants to go back to their family, and then the third is like in the middle. So I'm really curious how that's going to go as the show goes along. I think the show is just fine, but I'm going to keep watching this because who knows when we get another likable isekai character in the future. Number 6, Sasaki and PE. In search of companionship from his empty work life, Sasaki gets a pet bird who has magical abilities and bestows Sasaki with some of those abilities to cross between worlds. All Sasaki wants to do with these powers is live in peace and comfort, but there are some people that might get in the way of that. Sasaki and Peep's chemistry, I think, is pretty cute, and I'm curious about how much going back and forth between the two different worlds are going to affect Sasuke's like mental health. And I like that both stories are equally interesting. Biggest concern is Sasuke doesn't seem to be interested in romance, but I'm sure hoping the plot doesn't get super creepy because there's this like high school girl that lives next door that seems to be attracted to him. So I'm not in love with that. Just know if that happens, I'm dropping the show immediately. But until then, I'm going to see where the story goes. We're in the top 5. Number 5, Villainous Level 99. The main character gets hit by a car and is reincarnated into her favorite Otome RPG as the final boss, actually. To live a quiet life, she avoids the heroes of the game, as well as level herself up to defeat the Demon Lord. She gets too carried away, though, and levels up to level 99, and everyone in the academy is concerned of her power. Pretty funny about this. The first couple minutes of the first episode, it's a different show because you have the characters, like the heroes of this video game storyline, and the writing's just so generic and like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. But then you actually get the actual main character because she's the villain, and they go so hard. The writing being generic is the point. Like it's supposed to be that way because they're in the video game. I really liked that, and I gave this one the 3 episode rule. Um, I'm really curious where this is going because each episode has a cliffhanger that has me want to watch the next one. And I like the main character is just doing everything she can to avoid the heroes of the video game storyline, but she just keeps getting running into them. And I think her being overpowered works with the comedy. Number 4, Cherry Magic. 30 years of virginity can make you a wizard? Adachi is a 30-year-old virgin. Because of this, he's developed the power to read people's minds by touching them. After a brush with this very handsome colleague, Adachi realizes he has a raging crush on him. The biggest thing of this show so far is the one character of the handsome colleague. He says a ton of creepy things to his coworker that reads his mind. It does suck because I really want to have just a sweet gay romance that isn't high schoolers, just adults. That would be great to see in anime. An editor Beanie here. There are gay relationships in anime. I gave the impression that there isn't, and that was not my intention. There are actually some really good ones. But My New Boss is Goofy from last season gave me such a tease that I was pretty upset about it. So if this show also is a tease, I will write. For a lot, I'm really not. I'll say it does calm down a bit as the show goes along, and I do really like how sweet the lead character at least is. So I'm gonna watch this until it ends just because I want more of it. Number 3, The Weakest Tamer began a journey to pick up trash. This fantasy world is run by a star system. Our main character, Ivy, has a no star rating, which has everyone, including her parents, want nothing to do with her. She fends for herself, taking everyone's trash, but everything changes when she's able to tame a slime creature. I'm not really sure how far I will watch this show with Ivy walking from town to town surviving. But right now, I'm really enjoying it. I think the backgrounds are beautiful. And Ivy, she's just a sweet character. Thing is, there's this isekai element that I think is pretty actually unique to the genre, where she's able to talk to her past life, but we don't see her past life. So I'm really curious where that will go. Number 2, Delicious in Dungeon. An adventuring party loses their cleric to a dragon. The party managed to escape but lost all their money. The party goes back to the dungeon to save their friend before she's fully digested. Not only is the animation beautiful, but the show is just also really funny. The characters have great chemistry, and they spend a section of time giving us these like fake recipes to cook fantasy monsters, which is just fun. I mean, the big thing that keeps coming across my mind is these characters goof off a lot, and I mean, your friend's about to be digested. They gave them like a month timeline, but still, I feel like I would rush to that. But I'll say that could even add to the comedy itself, probably. So yeah, it's just a relaxing show to watch each week. Number 1, A Sign of Affection. Yuki is a deaf college student. She's struggling to talk with someone on the train when someone from her school, Itsumi, helps her. Itsumi isn't put off by her lack of hearing. As he gradually opens up her to a new world, she starts developing feelings for him. There's one thing and one thing only that I'm not in love with so far, and that is how Itsumi gets Yuki's attention by like physically raising her head and such. There's details on why he's like that I don't excuse, but I can see the potential of character development. Other than that, I'm loving this show. It gives off like that early 2000s shoujo feel with the sparkling bubbles when the character's like feeling romance. And I just love that they're in college, a setting you just don't get to see much in this genre. I really appreciate that the animation department put so much time and effort into the sign language. Romance. Oh my gosh, everyone. The romance is so good. When she responds at the end of the first episode with, uh, is this world a big place? With, yeah, it's huge. Leaves a pause. Let me in yours, Yugi. Come on, bro. You're telling me that doesn't fill your entire being with joy? You're telling me that's not peak fiction right there? Come on, bro. Like, oh my gosh. I appreciate you all for sticking around with this and hope you're able to enjoy some in this anime season. All right, stay cozy, everyone. I'll see you next time.